Hi, everyone. Good morning. As always, I am thrilled to be here, especially now after having given birth. I love having this time together that I could go into a different mode of Eretz Israel, which I love, and not be in baby mode 24/7. So I'm super appreciative to be here. And this week's class is a topic that is um, a bit different than anything we've spoken about before. And I think it's very enjoyable. You've probably heard bits and pieces of it, and now I'm going to try to make it a bit more organized. So with that, let me share my screen and you will have an idea about what I'm talking about. Okay. When I sit in my living room, what I hear all day long is bang, 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 drill, drill, bang, drill. I leave my house to go for a walk. I have to cross the street because half of the street is blocked off because they're extending the light rail. Then I get to the corner, I have to cross the street again because they're rebuilding a building, making it much higher. Then I go to the supermarket, but I have to cross the street again because this is closed off, that's closed off. As you can hear from my descriptions, walking in Jerusalem, you are met everywhere you go with building and noises of building. And it could be annoying because the bus routes are all rerouted and you have to keep crossing the street. But I see it as the most beautiful thing in the world because this is V'tivnei Yerushalayim in front of your eyes. And I go, wow, look how amazing. I hear the drilling. Not like, oh, it's so loud, it's so annoying. One, I say, great, my baby will learn to sleep with noise. And two, I said, Jerusalem is being built. How amazing is this? But with that building, I want to go a bit back to earlier roots of building. We have, what happened? Okay. We have King, we'll start with Nehemiah. Nehemiah was when they wanted to rebuild the second temple. If you open up Sefer Nehemiah, he's rebuilding a wall. If we go back even earlier, so now I'm not going really chronologically, King David, we know, did a lot of building. He wanted to build the Beit HaMikdash, but God told him no. And then if we think of building in Israel, I think the primary building that comes to mind is the Beit HaMikdash of Shlomo HaMelech. Maybe people think of the Kotel. Who else contributed to building other than these people in modern today? So that's one of the topics of the class that we're going to be talking about. I want to talk to you about a secret society of builders that left their mark on Yerushalayim. If you know where to look, you can find it. Or if you open your eyes, you can find it. And this class is going to explore that, the secret society that built up Yerushalayim and Eretz Israel. We are going to be talking about a group called the Freemasons, Habonim HaChofshim in Hebrew. Some of you might have heard of them just from living life. When the Da Vinci Code came out or National Treasure, they gained popularity because they mentioned it in the movie. If you haven't heard of it at all, then this is the opportunity. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Who are the Freemasons and what are some of their beliefs? Where have they left their mark on Israel? And visit new places, because what is a class about Israel without having more places to add to our list to visit? And the higher goal is, how does learning about the Freemasons impact the quality of my life? After learning about them, I said, wow, I am super happy that I am. And I'm going to, at the end, we'll explore how I found this to be very impactful in my life. In 1854, Dr. James Barkley was walking his dog, and all of a sudden, his dog disappears. And then he hears barking. And here's the barking coming from underground. He found his dog. And he goes, how do I hear barking from underground? It was as if the ground had swallowed up his dog, and he didn't know what happened to it. The dog had discovered a cave that was known for centuries, but was forgotten over the last 100 years. And the cave that the dog and Dr. Barkley discovered is this cave over here, known as King Solomon's Quarry, or in Hebrew, Me'arat Tzidkiyahu. They're not translations of each other. King Solomon would be Shalamot, Tzidkiyahu would be Tzidkiyahu. So we're going to talk about why these two names. And this amazing, amazing cave, which put on your list of places to visit. I've been there about 7 times. It is, you could tell from the picture that it's big, but big is really an understatement because you walk in and it's humongous, humongous, humongous. It's 9,000 meters. It's, where is the cave? So I want to show you on the map. If you look here, the blue outline, so these are the walls of the old city, and this over here is the Kotel. Let me show you over here. Right over here, Sidkiyahu's cave. From the Kotel, you could walk there. Now, it's in the Muslim quarter and it's right by the Damascus Gate. People avoid the Damascus Gate. I know I try to avoid it because there's unfortunately a lot of stabbings there. So it's right near the Damascus Gate. You can visit it and be safe. Like I said, I've been there a bunch of times, so that's where it's located. And if we zoom in more, so here's the Damascus Gate, and here's Sidkiyahu's cave. The cave is located under the Muslim quarter. It's about 9,000 meters long, and more of the cave is undiscovered than discovered. And you could see here from this angle how humongous it is, and there's even water flowing in the cave, and they have cool lighting. It's just fantastic, and it keeps going on and on and on and on and on. It's called King Solomon's Quarries. Quarry meaning where you dig rocks to build, and King Solomon's because there is this tradition that when Shlomo HaMelech built Beit HaMikdash, he took stones from here. Now, if we go based on archaeology, they say there's no way that he took, but they say Second Temple most probably, but still there's tradition that Shlomo HaMelech took stones. And why not Tzidkiyahu? If we open up the Navi in Yirmiyahu, Tzidkiyahu HaMelech, who's one of the last kings of Yehuda, if not the last, I don't remember, I think he was the last. He was taken captive by the Babylonians, and he was discovered in a place called Mavot Yericha. And Rashi in Yechezkel says that, based on a midrash, that Tzidkiyahu, he was in a cave. He was running away in a cave. And when he got outside of the cave, he was discovered. How was he discovered? There was a gazelle that was running on top, and the Babylonians were following the gazelle. And then when the gazelle, finally, they were able to catch it, it was right where Tzidkiyahu came out of the cave, and they caught him. And the Chachamim, right? This was a really, really, really big cave. And they don't know where the cave was. And people today say, oh, the really big cave that according to the Midrash Tzidkiyahu was running in is probably this one. This is one of my favorites. There is a Muslim tradition that this is the cave of Korach. This is where Korach was swallowed into the ground. Now, based on the Pesukim of the Tanakh, it can't be because Korach was in the desert. They didn't even get into Eretz Yisrael. So how is his cave in Yerushalayim? But that's the tradition. And based on this tradition, I want to share with you this fantastic story. In 2016, there was a 19-year-old American tourist. On a Thursday afternoon, he comes with a backpack into the cave, doesn't garner any suspicion. And then when the guards are coming to do their sweep to make sure everyone's out by closing time, he's hiding in one of the niches of the cave and they don't find him. He spends the entire night digging. He's looking for Korach's lost treasure because the Pesukim say the ground swallowed Korach and his tent and everything that he had. So he's looking for the treasure based on this Muslim tradition. And then now he's digging all night. The cave is closed on Friday, but that specific Friday, people happened to go in because they were doing some maintenance work and they discover him. They see this man covered from head to toe in dirt with a backpack full of archaeological findings. They arrest him. They turn his findings over to the Antiquities Authority. And this here in the photograph is the man sitting near the police station. So people do take this tradition seriously, that there's either Korach or different treasures in the cave. And what is this? How does this lead us to the Freemasons? So I want you to look at this photograph from the year 1898. You see people in this interesting kind of clothing, serious face, and they are about to march into a huge hole underground. They are about to march into King Solomon's quarry, Me'arat Tzidkiyahu. Why? Because according to the Freemasons, we're going to talk about their traditions. Their traditions are largely based on King Solomon. They hold Shlomo HaMelech as being the first Freemason. He was the first builder. So what more appropriate place to hold ceremonies than in King Solomon's cave? How amazing. You can't get better than that. So this is the people about to go into King Solomon's cave. And the Freemasons, they're a society, this secret society. Now, they're known, I'm talking about them, so they're not that secret. But what exactly they do, what they believe in, that's secret. I'll share what's known, and then there's certain things that you'll only know if you become a Freemason. They were established in London in 717 and going strong till today. There's about 6 million followers. And if you've seen this G with a square and a compass, that's a Freemason symbol, and we're going to talk about what that means. So I mentioned King Solomon was the first Grand Mason, and that's why the cave is important to them. I said they were started out in London in 717, but really, we can start their tradition even earlier. I actually watched National Treasure recently with my husband, and they mentioned this as the earliest root of the Freemasons. During the time of the Crusades, there were this group of Crusades, an order called Knights Templar. Templar from the word temple, and they wanted to find the treasures of King Solomon's temple. There were even rumors in Europe that they succeeded. They were this rich, powerful organization that eventually was dismantled. The Pope had to do with it. Anytime you have this organization, it's really big and powerful, especially if they're secretive. You suspect that things are corrupt or wrong, and you're suspicious. So they were eventually dismantled. And then what eventually became from the Knights Templar was the Freemasons. So that's the tradition of it. The largest room in King Tzidkiyahu's cave, and I'm going to use the two names interchangeably. I'm going to call it Me'arat Tzidkiyahu or King Solomon's Quarry. The biggest hall is called the Freemasons' Hall, and they meet in the cave 5 times a year. In these two photographs, you see that they are having ceremonies. What do they do at their ceremonies? We're going to talk about their clothing. We're going to talk about. Let's start with what do they believe in. So they have 3 fundamental principles. The first is brotherly love. People should love one another. You should look out for your brother. The second is relief. If someone needs help, you should help them. And the Freemasons give millions and millions of dollars to charity a year. And the third principle they believe in is truth. We should be people of truth. They also believe in a supreme being or master. It doesn't matter which one you believe in, but you need to know that there is a supreme being. And a really nice quote I saw on one of the Freemason websites is they said, what's our tagline? We're making good people better. We're not trying to completely change you. We're not trying to brainwash you. We just want to make you better. And it's not a religion, the Freemasons. Actually, one of their rules is when they have meetings, you're not allowed to talk about religion. It doesn't matter what religion you are, as long as you believe in a supreme being. And the way some Freemasons describe what it is, it's an individual journey towards becoming a better father, friend, citizen, supported by other men at different points on the same journey. So Freemasonry is basically about becoming a better person. How do you become a Freemason? You apply. To be a Freemason, you need to be male and you need to be over 18. I will say that today there are women Freemasons. There are 2 groups of them in England, but for the most part, throughout the centuries, and really today, it's a men's organization. You need to be male to be accepted. What goes on in their ceremonies? So where they meet is called a lodge, and there are lodges all over the world. This is basically what it looks like, and I want you to notice a few things. One, their special clothing and their aprons, the checkered floor. Why a checkered floor? In temples of old, they had mosaic floors, so checkered to be like mosaic, plus it represents good and evil. I also want you to notice the 2 pillars over here. Here is the symbol we said before, the compass and the square, which we're going to talk about. Now, I only see 2 pillars in this picture, but there's normally 3. Well, to address the 2, if we look at a picture of the Beit HaMikdash, Shlomo HaMelech built 2 pillars, one he called Yachin and one he called Boaz. And the Freemasons, because they see Shlomo HaMelech as the master builder, the first Mason, a lot of their ceremonies and the way their lodge looks is rooted in King Solomon's temple. So look how similar we have the Yachin and Boaz, the 2 pillars, and we have 2 pillars over here. I was just thinking now, there's a part of me that wants to make a quiz of all the places we've studied so far in Israel and where we see them. I'm just thinking now, a trivia quiz, a question I'd want to throw out is, where in Tel Aviv have we seen a building that had these 2 pillars? So trivia question, if anyone wants to answer, you can answer in the chat. It's really beautiful how so many places in Eretz Yisrael connect, and the more knowledge you know, the richer life you have. It's just that simple. The more Torah you know, the more you know, your life is just full of meaning and richness. So knowledge is the key to all of this. Here is another example of the lodge. So here are the 3 pillars. The two pillars, one is Yachin and one is Boaz, and the third one represents the master of the lodge. Also notice that there's an altar, which we're going to talk about, and the book on top of the altar. Some of their ceremonies, you kneel and you put your hand on a book, depending on which religion you are. If you're Christian, the Bible. If you're Jewish, the Torah. Another picture of a lodge. Okay. There are 3 Masonic degrees: entered apprentice, a fellow craft, and a master mason. And the way you go up in degree is by studying their traditions, knowing how things operate, you go up. Meetings. What do they do at meetings? What are they like? So this, I mentioned, one of the things they do is you kneel in front of the altar with your hand on your holy book. This happens in one of their early meetings. There are secret handshakes that only Freemasons do in meetings. I was watching on YouTube an interview with a Freemason, and someone asked the Freemason, what would you do if right now I did your secret handshake? So the Freemason answered, there's no rule that I need to be angry if you know it. I'm not going to be angry. You want to do it, do it. I'm not going to do it because I only do it in meetings. You, if you know it, okay. I'm not going to be angry about it, but it's the secret handshake they only do in meetings. No politics or religion, we mentioned. Another rule is you cannot use meetings for personal gain. You can't say, I work in high tech, in computers, and I want to network. Let me join the Freemasons for networking reasons. That's not allowed if you're using the meeting for personal gain. And this is an important point because throughout the years, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories that the Freemasons are taking over the world, the Freemasons and the Jews are taking over the world. But if one of their basic rules is you can't use it for personal gain, then what world are they taking over? They're not looking to do that. These answers, I watched a few interviews with Freemasons on YouTube, and that's what they said. They use the Hebrew calendar, and they have a holiday in the month of Tishrei, the day on which the Beit HaMikdash was inaugurated. If we open up Sefer Melachim, it says that Shlomo, he gathers the people of Israel, and he wants to bring the Aron from Ir David. But when does he do it? He does it on the 7th month of Tishrei, and the Freemasons have a holiday in honor of that, which is really cool. Some of their symbols, the square and the compass. So the square is these 2 rulers that are attached over here, and the compass is on top. Now, when a builder builds, and the Freemasons, it's maybe once they were actual builders, but it's all symbolic today. When a builder is building a corner, he uses this tool because he wants 90 degrees. And if you want a stable building, you need a perfectly square edge. And that idea is that a person should be square in your actions, square and honest in all of your actions. So now when they look at the symbol and they see the square edge, they think about it. The other element is this compass. Compass, if you remember, I remember from high school using a compass. It never worked for me. I was never able to draw a good circle. But if you are, and you draw a perfect circle, you have to have the legs a certain distance apart, and they represent self-restraint and man's ability to rein in his yearnings. Everything about the Freemasons is super, super symbolic. And if you look at the letter G, what does G stand for? Sometimes it's a G, sometimes it's not a G. It could stand for geometry, it could stand for God, it could stand for Grand Mason. There's tons of theories what it stands for. And this symbol, if you see it somewhere, the symbol of the Freemasons, sometimes they put it on their car, bumper sticker, they might have it on their rings, and it's something that reminds them to act in a certain way. And as I study about the Freemasons, I can't help but think about all the symbolism we have in Judaism. It's full of symbolism. Let's say even just the mezuzah. You kiss the mezuzah. It reminds you that God is protecting your house. And just so many things that we do. Our entire day is filled with symbolism. The holidays, Pesach, Rosh Hashanah. So we have that too, and so do they. Because symbolism is something that is important in a person's life and that does add value and meaning. Another famous Freemason symbol, the pyramid with an eye. The pyramid represents knowledge, and a pyramid is a very high-tech engineering feat to get it perfectly triangle and to get it to stand. And the eye is the all-seeing eye of God, of this human being that knows everything. You probably can identify, where is this from? This is from a dollar bill. The dollar bill has a Freemason symbol, a pyramid with the eye, and actually the Latin over here on the bottom. Let me see if I wrote it on the side. Okay, so I don't actually remember what it is, but it does have something to do with the Freemasons as well. I have to look it up. I don't remember. What does all of this have to do with Israel? It's very nice to learn about this society. We mentioned that it's connected to Merat Tzidkiyahu, but what else? So this building over here is the Supreme Court, and this is where the High Court meets. This over here is the Knesset, and then this is the Supreme Court. Look over here, if we zoom in, do you see a pyramid? This pyramid is a symbol of the Freemason. The person that designed it was a Freemason and put this pyramid on the Supreme Court. Now, tons of people don't even know that this Freemason symbol's there, that Freemasons were involved in building Israel, were involved in building such important structures, but it is in fact a symbol on Israel's Supreme Court. All right, like dollar bill. This is a really, really fun one. I think I'm gonna do a class one day just on synagogues. So this over here is, you see from the title, the Great Synagogue Addis of Aleppo. The Syrian community enjoys praying in this synagogue in Jerusalem. I'll show you a picture of the inside. So this is what it looks inside. It was recently, I think $500,000 was given to it to preserve it and repaint it. It's seen as a historic landmark. You see over here the hechal, the dark brown wood, was brought piece by piece into Damascus. I could go on a lot about all the symbolism in the shul, the lights over here. There's a ton to talk about, but I'm going to focus on one point, that this synagogue that you're praying in, connecting to God, has a symbol of the Freemasons in it. What? A synagogue symbol of the Freemasons? I would like to zoom in. First, let me talk about who built it. So a man named Yaakov Stark, he was a Jew from Poland. He was a member of the Freemasons, and in doing the art for the Addis synagogue, he decided to put in some of the Freemason symbols. I want you to look on the walls at these pillars. Well, I'm just thinking now, two pillars like Yachin and Boaz. That's even not the symbol I was going to talk about, but maybe that could be. I want you to look at the menorah and notice there's something really interesting about the menorah. The menorah, why does it have this weird square? If we go in the Torah, so he did the right amount of branches. You have 3 on each side and 1 in the middle. But what is this design over here? So let's go back to the design of the square from the famous symbol of the Freemason. Yaakov Stark decided he wanted to add it into Addis shul. So when you go into the shul, there is a Freemason symbol there as well, which is not so well known, and I think it's a really cool fact. Here's another view. We have a pasuk up here. Beautiful design. There's also zodiac signs over here. There's a lot going on in the shul, and the Freemason symbol. Where else? So this over here is the King David Hotel. And across the street from the King David is a building known as the YMCA, Young Men's Christian Association. Young Men's Christian Association, they believe in a healthy, did I write it? Let me see. No, okay. Here's another picture of it. They believe in a healthy body, mind, and soul. And they are open to all of religions. What they have in the YMCA, they have, let's say, summer camps for Christian, Muslim, and Jewish children. They have a swimming pool. People play sports, and it's open to everyone. 2 years ago, I played volleyball there for, like, at nights I would go. It's really modern, cool, amazing, really great place. Now, they have the sports area. It's also a hotel. And it's also, as a Young Men's Christian Association, there is a Christian element to it on the design outside, as well as there is a chapel inside, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So it is a Christian place at the end of the day, but they also have elements that connect to all the religions. Fun fact, the architect of the YMCA, his name is Arthur Loomis Harmon, and he was also the architect of the Empire State Building. Right, a fun trivia question. What's the connection between the Empire State Building and the YMCA? Same architect. Remember King Solomon's Quarry. When, so not Arthur Loomis Harmon, another builder involved, he was a member of the Freemasons. And when he was building the YMCA, he said, I would love to get stones from King Solomon's quarry into the YMCA. And he did, and he succeeded. And the last time King Solomon's quarry, Merat Tzidkiyahu, was actually used to build was the YMCA, that there are stones there from it, which is a cool thing to know. I mentioned that there is a chapel inside the YMCA, and inside the chapel, there's an altar. In churches, there are altars. Also, we know in Freemason lodges, there are altars. Now, what are the stones made of? If you look closely, you notice that the stones aren't smooth. It's not this nice, smooth, even altar. Why? Because the builder of the altar was a member of the Freemasons. And in the Freemasons lodges, they have an altar. And something unique about it is the stones are not all smooth. Some are smooth and some are raw. Now, I want to go to the Pesukim for a minute. I want to go to, before we go to the Pesukim, Yaakov, he has a dream. He takes rocks and he has a dream about angels going up and angels going down. And when he wakes up in the morning, he takes the rocks and he makes it into a matzeva. It's not exactly an altar. He makes it into this monument. And what this member of the Freemason who was building this altar said, I want to do something really special. I want to go to Bet El and I want to get rocks from Bet El to build the altar and the chapel here. And who knows, maybe some of the rocks I'm going to take from Bet El, and we spoke about Bet El a very long time ago. Maybe some of the rocks were really, really part of an altar. If maybe Yaakov made it, and later on in Tanakh, it was also built, Avraham built an altar there. Maybe we're even going to take original altar stones, and he runs it by another one of the architects, builders, and he says, wow, that's such a great idea. And they went to Bet El. They spent 2 days there taking stones because they wanted to put it in this mizbeach over here. And here's a picture of Bet El. Very easy to take stones. They took 12 stones to bring it to this mizbeach. Now, each lodge has, has person? Okay, I don't know. So it has an altar, and in the altar there's a chisel stone and a rough stone, and it's very. Wait, hold on. It's super symbolic because the membership helped the members refine their own personal qualities. The change from a simple unhewn stone into a hewn stone. You were someone that wasn't suitable from this temple. You were a little rough around the edges. We're going to help smooth you out to become a better person and be suitable for the temple. So I think it's a really beautiful idea. And he wanted that idea conveyed in this altar as well. And also beautiful connecting it to Bet El and Yaakov, that Yaakov, after his dream, he takes simple stones, makes it a monument, and his ladder is a symbol of reaching towards the sky, towards the good, towards the knowledge. And in the ceremonies that the Freemasons do, they involve Yaakov's dream in Bet El as well. So here's that. And to quote from the Torah, maybe we should have started from that. There are places both for stones that are unhewn and stones that are hewn. We have in Shemot, Hashem says, if you're making me a mizbeach from stones, lo tivneh eten gazit. Don't make them perfect stones. Don't use your cherev to carve them out, because a sword is something for war, and this is a place of peace. But so that's on the one hand, you have to do it from raw rocks. But on the other hand, when Shlomo HaMelech was building the Beit HaMikdash, he used stones that were chiseled out and they were beautiful. Now I'm also going to add, it says that you couldn't hear the sound of like chiseling by the Beit HaMikdash, and Chachamim say there was this special worm that would chisel out the stones. The important point here is that he had perfectly chiseled stones. So we see that in the Tanakh, there's a place for unchiseled and there's a place for chiseled, and the Freemasons take that all and put it together. Where else do we see one of their symbols? So in Yerushalayim, there's a place known as David HaMelech's grave. I ask oftentimes, is this really where King David is buried? Based on the Tanakh, it really doesn't make sense that he would be buried there. There's the tradition, I think any place in Israel that people have been praying at for a really long time, that the place gets kedusha from people's tefillah. It's less important if really he was buried there or not. So his grave on Mount Zion, here's a staircase. Notice the Freemason symbol. They also left their mark over there. Okay, right by the shuk, there's this square called the Square of Habonim HaChavshiyim. The Freemasons are really all over the place if you open your eyes and look at that and look for it. There were 15 US presidents that were Freemasons, George Washington, the first president, also being a Freemason. There were very important Jewish people that were Freemasons. Moses Montefiore, who we mentioned a bunch of times, Baron Rothschild, who we mentioned, was very instrumental in helping the early Yeshuvim get off the ground. They were all members of the Freemasons. And in Memorial Hall, there is a mural which depicts George Washington laying the cornerstone of the US Capitol. And notice his clothing over here, he's wearing the Freemason garb. And one of the reasons why they say they wear aprons is because back in the day, when they were working with stones, they wear aprons to protect themselves from the little pieces of stones flying. Conspiracy theories. There are all kinds of theories that the Freemasons are taking over the world. The Freemasons worship the devil. The Freemasons have murder plots. They were chased by the Catholic Church, tens of thousands murdered during the Holocaust. Is it true? Is it not true? Anytime you have a society that's secret, it's all men, it's secret. They have tons of money. No one really knows what goes on. It's understandable that there would be conspiracy theories. Is there some truth to them? Maybe. Is some of it just made up and fake? Maybe. I don't really know, but I'm just sharing what's out there. And so I said that it's the top secret society. What did I write? Intercontinental connection. So these are reasons why you would think that they do have conspiracy, and they're open to all religion. So it's like, hey, what's going on? There must be an underhanded plot. How many Freemasons are there in the world today? Over 6 million Freemasons. How many are in Israel today? So there are about 70 active lodges, 9 different languages, 3,000 registered members. The Great Lodge of Israel is found in Tel Aviv. And I want you to notice the symbol. So we have the square and the compass. We have a Jewish star. We have a cross for Christianity and the moon for Islam. Are there women Freemasons? So there are, as we see from the picture, there are 2 female-only Grand Lodges in England, founded in 1908. This question over here, why become a Freemason? Social aspect of it, you are lonely, you want to meet people. Here's a way to meet tons of people. Join the Freemasons. You want to be part of something. You're intrigued by the secrecy. You want to know what the secrets are. And everything I shared is what's available to the public. But to really, really, really know what goes on, you need to join the Freemasons. You want to make new friends. It's a great reason. You want to develop yourself. You want to make a positive contribution towards society. Now, I want to summarize, and then I want to talk about where the Freemasons hits home for me. So, well, I need to learn to speak slower. I feel like I'm like running a marathon from excitement. So we opened up by saying that everywhere I go, or even if I'm not going, I'm just sitting in my living room, there's tons of building going on in Yerushalayim. So the earliest roots of the building we could find from Nehemiah, King David, King Solomon, especially with the Beit HaMikdash. We discovered Tzidkiyahu's cave, also known as Solomon's Quarry, which is a super cool place to go and visit. It's humongous, it's fun. And even if you knew none of this, I took a family to the cave once, and I knew about, like, the amount that I knew then was a fraction of what I know now. I didn't even mention the word Freemason. I spoke about Shlomo HaMelech a bit, Tzidkiyahu, and we had the best time. And we didn't even have all this knowledge. So if you go to the cave and you know nothing, it's an amazing experience just to see it, just to be amazed by the beauty, and it's man-made cave. Now, how much more so going and knowing all of this stuff, and that's what I love about Israel, because you could take any one of these points and you go to a place. Wow, it's beautiful, it's amazing. Then after you're amazed by the beauty, you could talk about Shlomo HaMelech and all that represents. You could talk about Tzidkiyahu. You could talk about the Freemasons. Like, there's just, Israel lends itself to so many different interesting topics of discussion and opportunities to grow and learn. So the Freemasons love the cave because they see Solomon as the first Mason. Their 3 fundamental beliefs we discussed: their lodges, which is their meeting places all over the world; the pillars, the checkered floor, the altar; their symbols, the square and the compass, the pyramid and the eye. We said, where do we see examples in Israel? In the Supreme Court, the Addis Shul, the YMCA, and King David's grave. We spoke about some famous Freemasons, the presidents, Rothschild, Montefiore. conspiracy theories that the Freemasons are taking over the world because of all their secrecy and their connections. They are about 6 million in the world. And why join the Freemasons? If you want to have friends, you're intrigued by the secrecy, you want to be part of something greater. Now, how does learning about the Freemasons impact the quality of my life? As I learned about the Freemasons, I thought about how many aspects they have as part of their society, their ceremonies. They remind me of Judaism. They are into symbolism. They connect back to the Tanakh. They connect to Shalom HaMelech. Their values of brotherhood, relief, truth. They believe in becoming a better person. They don't want to ruin the meetings talking about politics and religion. They give tons of charity. It really is a society that has beautiful values and is interested in making the world a better place. But they're secretive. They don't let everyone in. Then I said, and people join because they want to feel part of something greater. They want friends. They like the social aspect. And then I realized that Judaism and HaKadosh Baruch Hu and his wisdom in giving the Torah and the mitzvot, he already had all of this built in, because Judaism has tons of symbolism and it already has the values of truth and relief and brotherhood. And Judaism, if you are part of the Jewish nation, you are never alone. You're a part of something greater. You can make friends, you can network, and everyone knows, you go somewhere in the world and you see a Jewish person and it's called Jewish geography. You could find a way that you all know someone, a common person. And the Jewish people are just this big society, interconnected all over the world. And I said, wow, how amazing that I don't need to go and join another society, because none of these things are missing in my life. I have it amazingly in my life because I'm part of the Jewish people. And look at God's wisdom and the Torah's wisdom in having all of these elements, which if the Freemasons made it as part of the society, they must have noticed that human nature has a need for it. And look how many years Judaism is going on for. And it doesn't only accept men, it accepts everyone. And you don't only have to be 18. You could be any age. And it just, learning about the Freemasons helped me appreciate even more the beauty of Judaism and how happy I am to be part of the Jewish people and how genius it is. And I think it's fun now to have new places to visit and new things to look out for, and also to know about secret society is always cool. Thank you so much for joining. I enjoyed speaking about it, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully soon in Israel, and we can go together and explore some of the Freemasons' work. Have a wonderful day.